Pause for a moment, because perhaps your heart did not arrive here by accident. There are seasons when silence speaks louder than words, and tonight is one of those moments. If your soul has been carrying questions that no one else can hear, allow yourself to listen with an open heart. There is a pain you have carried that very few people truly understand. You smiled when you wanted to cry. You stayed quiet when your heart longed to speak. You walked away from moments that left invisible scars, wondering whether anyone ever recognized the weight you continued to carry. I have seen every hidden tear. Not one moment of your sorrow escaped my attention. You may have believed the story ended on the day someone wounded your heart. Perhaps you thought their words became the final chapter. Perhaps you convinced yourself that they moved on while you were left gathering the broken pieces alone. But the human eye rarely sees the whole picture. There are battles that unfold where no crowd can witness them. There are regrets that never become public conversations. There are nights when a person discovers that silence can become heavier than any spoken sentence. Tonight, imagine a soul sitting quietly beneath a sky filled with stars. The room is still. The noise of the day has faded. There is no audience, no applause, no distractions. Only the quiet echo of memories that refuse to disappear. The person who hurt you remembers more than they admit. Not because life suddenly became easy for them, nor because every consequence arrived at once, but because the heart has a remarkable way of revisiting moments that pride once tried to bury. Some realizations arrive slowly. Like dawn touching the horizon, truth often appears one gentle light at a time. What once seemed insignificant now returns to them with surprising clarity. A conversation they dismissed. A kindness they overlooked. A moment when you chose patience instead of anger. These memories no longer pass by unnoticed. They linger. This does not mean you should celebrate another person's sadness. Compassion is stronger than revenge. Healing is greater than bitterness. The purpose of this message is not to encourage you to wait for someone else's pain. It is to remind you that nothing given in genuine love is ever completely forgotten. Even when people hide their emotions behind confidence, success, or distance, the heart continues to remember what was real. Perhaps you have spent countless nights asking why things happened the way they did. Why were your sincere intentions misunderstood? Why did kindness seem unanswered? Why did honesty appear to lose against pride? Those questions have accompanied many quiet evenings. Yet every season carries lessons that are invisible while you are walking through them. You have grown stronger than you realize. Not because hardship made life easier, but because each challenge quietly shaped your character. Your patience deepened. Your empathy expanded. Your faith continued to whisper hope even when certainty was nowhere to be found. Do not mistake silence for absence. Many important things grow where no one is watching. Seeds develop beneath the soil before anyone sees a single leaf. The sunrise prepares itself long before the first light reaches the earth. Likewise, unseen changes often begin long before visible answers appear. The person who once caused your heart to ache may now be confronting questions they never expected to face. Not because they were forced. Not because someone demanded it. But because truth has a gentle way of finding every heart willing to become still. There are moments when a memory suddenly interrupts an ordinary evening. A familiar place. A forgotten song. A simple kindness from a stranger. Without warning, the past quietly returns, not to imprison someone, but to invite reflection. If that reflection leads to humility, it can become the beginning of genuine change. Whether that change ever reaches you is not the most important part of this story. The greater miracle is happening within you. While you have been searching for explanations outside yourself, heaven has been quietly restoring something within your own heart. Your peace. Your courage. Your ability to believe again. You are not defined by who failed to value you. You are defined by the love, integrity, and hope you continue to carry despite disappointment. So tonight, release the burden of believing that your story depends upon another person's choices. Your future is not chained to yesterday's wounds. There is still more to be revealed, and what seems hidden now may soon become clearer than you ever imagined. The quiet moments often carry the greatest revelations. While the world rushes from one distraction to another, there are hearts sitting in complete silence, unable to escape the conversations happening within. Tonight is one of those nights. Somewhere, someone is discovering that the choices they once defended now feel very different when viewed through the lens of honesty. Do not misunderstand this moment. This is not about punishment. This is not about revenge. This is about the gentle way truth finds every soul when the noise finally fades. My beloved child, there were nights when you wondered whether your kindness had been wasted. You questioned whether your patience had any meaning. You even questioned whether your prayers had reached heaven at all. But every sincere prayer, every quiet tear, every act of love that expected nothing in return was seen. Nothing was forgotten. The heart that wounded you once believed distance would erase memory. It believed moving forward meant leaving everything behind. Yet the soul remembers what the mind tries to silence. A familiar place suddenly awakens forgotten emotions. A simple conversation reminds them of words left unsaid. A moment of unexpected stillness causes your memory to appear without invitation. These are not accidents. Sometimes reflection begins with something as ordinary as silence. As this unfolds, do not allow your own heart to become trapped in yesterday's story. You were never created to build your future around another person's regret. Your purpose is far greater than waiting for someone else to understand your worth. Lift your eyes higher. There is a new chapter quietly forming, even if you cannot see every page yet. The doors that seemed permanently closed are not the only doors before you. While you focused on one path, other opportunities have been growing beyond your vision. Every delay has been preparing you with strength you did not know you would need. Perhaps you have whispered, "Why did this happen to me?" A better question is slowly rising within your spirit. What has this season prepared me for? The answer is still unfolding. Every disappointment has taught you compassion. Every unanswered question has deepened your wisdom. Every lonely evening has strengthened your faith in ways comfort never could. And now something is beginning to change. Not all at once. Not with loud announcements. But quietly, like the first light appearing before sunrise. The person who once walked away is beginning to recognize the value of what they overlooked. They cannot rewrite the past, but they can no longer pretend it never mattered. Yet listen carefully, because this is important. Their realization is not the center of your story. Your healing is. Your peace is. Your growth is. Never trade your future for the comfort of looking backward. There is freedom waiting for the heart that releases bitterness without releasing wisdom. Forgiveness does not erase memory. It simply removes the weight that memory once carried. Imagine standing beside a flowing river. You could continue holding stones from yesterday until your arms grow tired, or you could gently place them into the water and walk forward with open hands. Your journey was never meant to be carried with closed fists. There is room in your future for joy again. There is room for laughter that no longer feels forced. There is room for mornings where hope rises before fear. You may not believe that today. But one day you will look back and realize that what felt like an ending became the beginning of a life stronger than anything you expected. Still, something remains unseen. There is a conversation taking shape beyond your awareness. Not every conversation happens face to face. Some begin inside the heart long before words are ever spoken aloud. A decision is slowly forming. A realization is becoming impossible to ignore. The next step has not yet been revealed, but when it arrives, it will cause you to understand why this season had to unfold exactly as it did. And that is only the beginning. A new dawn is always born in silence before the world notices its light. My beloved child, there is something your heart has struggled to understand. You have often believed that the deepest wounds were the end of your story, but heaven sees them differently. What felt like an ending has quietly become the place where your greatest strength has been taking root. You have carried questions that no one else could answer. You searched through memories, replayed conversations, and wondered if one different decision could have changed everything. Yet every time you returned to those moments, the answer seemed just beyond your reach. Sometimes the answer is not hidden in the past. Sometimes it is waiting in the future. There are moments when I allow silence to remain for a season, not because I have forgotten you, but because your heart is being prepared to recognize something greater than the answer you originally wanted. The person who hurt you has begun facing moments they never expected. In the quiet hours, they have started recognizing pieces of your story they once overlooked. They remember the patience you showed when they expected anger. They remember the encouragement you offered when they were uncertain. They remember the kindness they assumed would always be there. Memories have a remarkable way of returning when the heart becomes honest. Yet this message is not asking you to wait for another person's realization. Do not place your hope inside someone else's choices. Place it inside the purpose that has been quietly unfolding all along. There is a difference between looking back and learning, and looking back while refusing to move forward. One brings wisdom. The other keeps the heart standing still. You were never created to remain in the place where you were wounded. You were created to walk beyond it. Every step forward may have felt small. Some days you wondered whether healing was even happening. But healing rarely announces itself. It grows quietly. Like rain filling unseen roots beneath the earth. Like the first breath of morning before the sun appears. Even now, your spirit is becoming stronger than you realize. There are blessings that could never have fit inside the version of you that existed before this season. Your compassion has grown deeper. Your patience has become stronger. Your understanding of love has become wiser. None of those gifts arrived easily, but they are becoming part of who you are. There is another truth you need to hear tonight. Not everyone who leaves your life is meant to remain absent forever. Some people return with changed hearts. Some never return at all. And some return only to reveal how much you have changed. Whichever path unfolds, do not measure your value by another person's decision. Your worth has never depended on someone else's ability to recognize it. It has always existed. Even on the days when you doubted yourself. Even on the nights when tears became your only conversation. Even when loneliness whispered that you had been forgotten. You were never forgotten. Every quiet prayer reached heaven. Every moment of perseverance was seen. Every act of kindness mattered. There are unseen moments unfolding even now. Conversations you know nothing about. Thoughts forming inside hearts you cannot hear. Doors beginning to open that you have not yet discovered. You do not need to chase every answer. Some answers are already walking toward you. This is why I ask you to protect your peace. Do not allow bitterness to become your companion. Do not let disappointment convince you that goodness has disappeared from the world. Continue choosing kindness. Continue choosing wisdom. Continue choosing hope. Not because the journey has been easy, but because your future deserves a heart that remains open. Soon you will notice something changing, not through loud signs, but through quiet certainty. The confusion that once surrounded you will begin to lose its power. The questions that kept you awake will no longer carry the same weight. You will sense that a new chapter has quietly begun. And when that moment arrives, you may finally understand why certain prayers seem delayed. The delay was never meant to harm you. It was preparing both your path and your heart. But there is still one piece of the story that has not yet been revealed. It is closer than you think. The next moment will uncover a truth that has remained hidden until now. And when it is revealed, you will see this entire journey from a completely different perspective. Not every answer arrives with thunder. Some of the greatest moments begin with a whisper so gentle that only a listening heart can hear it. My beloved child, you have been looking for signs in places where certainty could never be found. You searched through old conversations. You revisited familiar memories. You wondered whether one forgotten moment held the explanation you had been seeking. Yet the deeper truth has been quietly growing beyond everything you could see. There is a reason your spirit has felt different lately. Even if you cannot explain it. Even if no one around you has noticed. Something within you has been changing. The burden that once seemed impossible to carry is becoming lighter. Not because the past has disappeared, but because your heart is no longer allowing yesterday to define tomorrow. That is the beginning of freedom. The person who hurt you has also entered a season they did not expect. The confidence they once displayed has been replaced by long moments of reflection. Questions now appear where certainty once lived. They find themselves remembering small details they believed would never matter again. The way you listened. The way you encouraged them. The peace they felt in your presence before everything became complicated. These memories no longer pass through their mind unnoticed. They remain. They return. They gently ask questions that can no longer be ignored. Yet listen carefully. Do not confuse another person's reflection with your assignment. Your calling has never been to carry someone else's emotional journey. Your calling is to continue becoming the person I created you to be. There is beauty in releasing responsibilities that never belonged to you. You cannot force understanding into another heart. You cannot hurry someone else's growth. But you can choose peace. You can choose wisdom. You can choose hope again. And every time you make that choice, something extraordinary happens inside you. The chains that once held your thoughts begin to loosen. The fear that once controlled your decisions begins to fade. The future slowly becomes brighter than the past. You may not notice the transformation from one day to the next. But one morning you will wake up and realize that the pain no longer speaks with the same voice. The memory remains. The lesson remains. But the wound no longer rules your heart. That is healing. That is restoration. There are unseen moments unfolding beyond your awareness. Someone is speaking your name with respect. Someone is recognizing qualities within you that you overlooked in yourself. Someone is being inspired by your quiet perseverance without you ever realizing it. Never believe that your life has touched only a few people. Kindness travels farther than you can measure. Hope reaches places your eyes will never see. Every act of compassion leaves a mark that continues long after the moment has passed. So continue walking faithfully. Continue choosing integrity even when shortcuts appear easier. Continue offering kindness without demanding recognition. Nothing done with genuine love is ever wasted. Sometimes the harvest appears much later than the planting. Sometimes the answer arrives from a direction you never expected. Sometimes the blessing wears a face you have never met before. That is why I ask you not to become trapped inside one possible outcome. Your future is larger than your imagination. Do not place limits on what can still unfold. The story you thought was ending may simply be making room for a chapter more beautiful than anything you have dared to expect. There are connections still waiting to be formed. Opportunities quietly moving toward you. Moments of unexpected joy already making their way through ordinary days. Keep your heart open. Keep your faith steady. Keep your eyes lifted beyond today's uncertainty. Because there is one final truth that has remained hidden until the perfect moment. Very soon, a single realization will connect every unanswered question, every delay, every tear, and every unexpected turn along your journey. When that moment arrives, you will understand that nothing was meaningless. Every step was preparing you for what is about to be revealed. And what comes next will challenge everything you believed about this entire story.